The following 10 body language cues that we're going to talk about today can really empower your leadership and your confidence in your leadership role. The first one is around being assertive, and a lot of leaders can struggle with the difference between being assertive or being aggressive, or being under assertive and being a little bit more passive. There are a few tricks though that can help you out. The first one is to start taking note of how you speak to other people. If you notice yourself hesitating before you speak, or not feeling really confident about what it is that you're going to say, try and take a step back, take a bit of a breath, and if you don't know the answer, respond with, "I'll get back to you on that." If you are hesitating before you speak, try and smooth it out by either not speaking straight away so that you can gather your thoughts, or practicing how it is that you're going to respond to people. If someone is dismissive or rude, respond by demonstrating the sort of behaviour that you expect from them. If they persist in negative behaviour, call it out without being too direct. If you usually take up a smaller amount of space, think about how you're standing and presenting yourself so that you can almost imagine yourself expanding to fill the space. Obviously, you want to respect the space of others. Don't over-expand and into somebody else's space. Your non-verbal cues when speaking with others could include nodding and leaning towards the other person to show that you're listening. You can also practice using palm down gestures. Palm down gestures usually indicate that you are confident in what you are saying. These little tricks in your body language help you present yourself as confident and assertive. The second body language cue is using vocal power. Tone and pitch are all part of body language. These are aspects of non-verbal communication. Think about when somebody is nervous and how their tone is often higher pitched than what it normally is. You can even practice, perhaps in your car, deepening your voice a little bit. Don't go all Elizabeth Holmes. That's totally unnecessary and unrealistic. But if you take the higher pitch out of your voice, you can sound more confident and assured. Reflect also on how you speak. If you let your words trail off at the end of a sentence so that it sounds like a question, this can often indicate that you are not confident in what you are saying. Try and end sentences as a statement, not as a question, unless you intend it. Number 3 is smiling. Try and save your smiles for when you really mean it. Smiling can actually be perceived as an appeasing behaviour. This doesn't mean that you should stop smiling. You don't want to be a leader who scares everybody with your lack of warmth. But don't be that leader that feels that they have to smile all the time. An inauthentic smile will do damage to your leadership reputation. Consider smiling for real or not at all. Also note over the next few days how often you smile at work. Do you find yourself smiling at some people more than others? Often this is a sign of appeasement and you're trying to build more of a protective barrier around yourself. Tip number 4 in the body language cues is to be mentally and physically prepared. Your first impression on others takes 1/10 of a second, so no pressure. You can prepare yourself to be confident by pulling your shoulders back, breathing deeply, and really focusing what it is that you want to achieve. Try and shake off any nerves. Actually, literally shaking your arms can help you shake off nervous energy. Smile to yourself, not to everybody else, remember tip 3, but if you smile to yourself, it can often lift your confidence and increase endorphins, which can help with your energy as well. Tip number 5 is to slow down. Someone who appears rushed or hurried often gives off a signal that they are under stress. Intentionally try and slow down your movements. Regulate your breathing and try not to speak too quickly. If you get flustered or find yourself speeding up when you are talking, try and just take a breath so that you can appear more relaxed. A rushed and hurried leader is often showing signs of a stressed leader, which is probably not the ideal perception that you want your team to have. Number 6 builds on number 5, and this is to relax. Are your shoulders up around your ears? Relax them down. Where are your arms when you're in meetings? Can you rest them to appear more open and relaxed? Do you fidget in meetings and play with your pen or your keys or whatever? Limit fidgeting where possible. If you are someone who comes across as a bit more intimidating, consider how your stance is as well. Perhaps you can lean back a little bit so that it shows it's less in your face. Leading with open palm gestures can also indicate openness and a relaxed presence. Number 7 is about warmth. Building warmth in your workplace as a leader builds the idea of trust and safety. Pay attention to your tone of voice. Avoid sounding too abrupt or dismissive. Maintain good eye contact with people that you're speaking to, but don't force it. No one wants to be stared down. Focus on people when they're speaking to you and try really hard not to get distracted. There's nothing worse than trying to talk to somebody who is looking at their phone. You can also mirror what the other person is saying by repeating some keywords back to them to show your understanding. Tip number 8 is to observe the people around you. When you learn how to read body language, this increases your emotional intelligence and really helps you connect with others. Communication is reciprocal, and the idea with body language isn't to exert power over other people, but to be able to present yourself as a leader with confidence and communicate clearly. Tip number 9 is one of my favorites, and that is to use silence. I have been in leadership for over 17 years, and I have definitely found that utilizing silence in awkward situations or where you're trying to get somebody to speak to you about something is actually a really useful tool. There is something about that awkward pause where no one wants to speak that will end up being filled by others if you're not saying anything and just waiting. Also, if you find yourself rambling on a wee bit too much, note this. It can be really counterproductive. It can be really challenging to sit in silence. But if you're in a situation where perhaps you're in a meeting and you're trying to encourage others to participate, ask a question and then wait. You can count to 10 in your head while you're waiting, and perhaps looking at a few people and nodding, trying to encourage them to speak up can also help. If you are somebody who always rushes to fill the silence, try and sit back and wait for others to speak up. Tip number 10 is realizing that it is actually really hard to have all the skills of a great leader, and you can't take on things that don't fit with who you authentically are. So think about those things that you already do really well in terms of your body language cues and how you can utilize those strengths in your workplace. How we communicate is a lot more about what we don't say and how we present ourselves non-verbally than what we do say. So being able to read body language and being aware of your own body language is a really great skill in communication for leadership. And another one that builds into this is around active listening. And if you want to hear more about how you can be an active listener and use that as a superpower in your leadership, watch the video linked on your screen next. Thanks very much for watching.